By 2030, the world will ensure availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. Well, that's at least the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal number 6, or SDG 6. But between setting the goal and reaching the goal, there's a world to cross.
Progress towards SDG 6 is running at a quarter of the level required.
David Lloyd Owen is the managing director of Envisager and the author of Global Water Funding.
And when I said setting the goal,
a large number of countries still don't even have an accepted definition of what safe water is, let alone a program to install it.
Add to this how fuzzy the evaluation of the current situation in informal settlement is, and you're rounding off a much darker yet realistic picture. So how do we solve this?
Get more funding.
Let's be straightforward, that path is very unlikely.
Every government at the moment has to make hard decisions. Water is always going to be down on the agenda politically.
So if a fresh cash flow doesn't happen, the sector could rather finance itself better by
improving water tarification.
Here it gets more tricky for many reasons, one of them being the fuzzy definition around the human right to affordable water.
People are very reluctant to charge the appropriate price for water to reflect its worth. Water is systemically undervalued.
In his book, Global Water Funding, David makes an entire series of projections to evaluate affordability. According to the World Health Organization, tariffs actually boil down to two numbers: percentage of household income and time. But even if everyone was to agree on affordability, there would still be a major hurdle to overcome.
There's one thing which is a proper tariff, and then there's the other tariff which the politicians might allow you to charge.
That's how we end up with the absurd situation where tariffs are artificially low but compensated through subsidies, which are a hidden tax on water. And it has consequences outside of pure water funding.
People think, well, our water's so cheap, so it can't be clean.
That brings the water sector into a devil's circle David extensively covers in his book. You shall give it a read. But if we don't get better funding and can't charge the right tariff, what's left?
Do more with less.
Let's start with ironic good news. Being late on SDG 6 means we have fewer new assets to maintain and operate. Yay! On a more serious note, David explores many avenues in the book to reduce costs. Here's one of the most promising ones: a new form of partnership between water utilities and local communities.
All that manual labour, which normally would have to be paid for externally, is now being donated by the community towards the project.
It comes with many welcome side effects, from an increased sense of ownership to simply a better quality. Wouldn't that be the perfect metaphor for the entire world, finally seizing the challenge of bringing water and sanitation for all? If that gave you some ideas to solve the water crisis, here's a video to help you develop them. And if you'd like more of David Lloyd Owen's wisdom, there is a link to the long-form interview in the description.